Good morning, guys. I've just got time for a quick warm-up today. I'm going to do a few sun salutations and some balancing to prepare for classes with you guys, which I love. So I'm going to start on my mat. I like to face east or north when I'm practicing if possible, because that was recommended in the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, I believe. But it doesn't really matter. So don't worry too much about where your mat goes. If you feel sensitive to the energy lines of the earth, then you can line yourself up, or align yourself rather, with a north direction or an east direction, and enjoy that energy. I do love a bit of Kati Chakrasana first thing in the morning. Today my neck and shoulders are quite stiff because I've been doing a lot of gardening, a lot of work on the croft the last few weeks, and I seem to have stiffened up a little bit. There hasn't always been time for a full yoga release in the day. I do pranayama every day, which is another of the 8 limbs of yoga. But there are some days when I don't have enough time or energy for asana or a full asana practice. So I'm just going to try opening my chest a little bit, freeing up the space at the front of the shoulders. It's quite nice. And then I can start my sun salutations. You can join me too if you like. I like a centering breath before I begin, just to check in, make sure that my feet are engaging with the ground properly, that I feel a lift away from that grounding energy right up into the crown of the head. You feel an expansion from your center through your energetic bodies. So you automatically grow larger on the mat. Your energetic presence, this energy, the things that you express, and that's why relaxation is so important, because it allows the energy and opportunity to come back to our center. First few sun salutations of the day are an opportunity to feel our way into our bodies. So here I can feel that I have a little stiffness in my low back. That's not unusual, first thing. But a little stiffness in the back of my neck is quite unusual. So I'm going to roll my shoulder blades together and down to create a little bit of space in the back of the neck. Make some gentle movements. Nodding, turning the head, just to see if I can ease out, create a little bit of traction with the weight of the head and ease out some of that stiffness. And again, here I can keep the shoulders rolled back and down and explore that range of movement, lifting the chin, tucking the chin. It's all about length at the back of the neck. Often when we've got stiffness, it's to do with our muscles having been loaded, having been strong. And that's the case for me. I've been lifting, carrying, pulling. And one of the most useful poses for me for releasing is downward facing dog. As you explore that lengthening of the back of the body, and at the same time just trying to release those patterns of holding. I tend to inch forward on my mat from wherever I've started. Technically, you're supposed to stay where you are in sun salutation, but it's been happening for years. Always just a little foot forward from wherever I start. I like to do a few little variations on back bends, mostly because I get set in my patterned ways and a little bit bored otherwise, which you're not supposed to get. Yoga teachers are always telling you that if you're practicing with good awareness and you can practice the same thing over and over and over again, it's always different, which is true. But also I have a tendency just to get a little bit, I don't like habitual patterns too much in my yoga. So I like to explore different ways to do poses. And every time you do something, it is ever so slightly different. So it's a little bit like honoring your body's reaction, your mind's reaction, your breath's reaction to that pose and allowing it to be what it needs to be. In Cobra, you can bob with your breath as you breathe in. Belly muscles are firm, but you get that action of the abdomen pressing down, which lifts you. And as you breathe out, you return towards the mat. There are different ways to transition from Cobra, or Up Dog if you're doing Up Dog, into Downward Dog. You can transition back up towards plank and push back, so almost lifting with the, I guess, with the hips. I'll have to think about that actually. Let's have a look. So you're in Cobra, and you can either do tucking the toes under, and you sort of lift into your Cobra, and then from there press the chest back and the hips up. It's quite a nice transition. I do that a lot of the time, but it's good for strength, particularly in the upper body, in the upper back, in the core, to come from Cobra and push up more into plank pose, and then press back into Downward Dog. And yoga is a lot about not just flexibility of body, but flexibility of practice, of mind, of attitude. So being able to do something in multiple different ways means that you can adapt to the energy of yourself or the environment or the day. It also means that you don't get stuck in a pattern. So particularly with breathing, this is quite useful. If you can do a breath practice in several different ways, then you have the opportunity to expand your experience of it. And it's just a nice thing to be able to do. It's true flexibility. So now that I have done my sun salutations, just 2 today. 2 is probably enough, because this practice that we're doing following this is a very vigorous practice, and then the Yoga Nidra. So I'm going to do some true pose. Balancing used to be the thing that I was most challenged by in my yoga. My first nemesis postures were anything that balanced on one leg, whether it be tree or any of the other postures, and bridge pose, which I hated for years. Not supposed to say that, but it was pre-yoga teacher, so I'm going to. Yoga is yoga when it looks effortless. I'm not sure if this does, because it's definitely not. But that's the definition, apparently. One of many. It's always good to notice the difference between the 2 sides of the body when you're doing anything that's unilateral, using one side at a time, or one side differently from the other. I find if I bring my hands together over my head, it sort of closes my shoulders at the top of my arms. So I prefer to have my hands apart. If you prefer to practice with that energetic circuit closed or completed, if you like, then that's great. You can even have your hands slightly forward. You don't need to have them right over your head. You can even headstand and namaste if you prefer. Or indeed anywhere else that it makes you happy. Very good. You must be a lucky charm. That's the longest I've held a tree pose for a couple of weeks. Awesome sauce. Okay, I'm going to finish with some headstands, but I'm going to use the FeetUp stool today. So headstands are a really nice posture for improving your outlook. So it helps you to adapt your attitude, your perspective, increase flexibility in this way. And it's also great for improving mental clarity. So it's a nice practice to do before teaching because it sort of switches on, your brain's firing on 100%. We get very stuck in our ways. So I was taught never to point my toes in inversions in general, but you might prefer that energetic line through the front of the body. It can make you feel the legs are stronger. Just try not to overdo anything. So if you're flexing, don't overflex. If you're pointing, don't overpoint. I find this a lovely stretch of the inner thighs, the hamstrings there. And I like to do the leg variations that I was taught in Shivananda. Forgive my twists, I haven't twisted very much this morning, apart from Kati Chakrasana. These twists are not my best. A soft landing is what you're looking for from headstand. Not the only thing, but certainly at the end of a practice like this. It's important not to sit up straight away. To give your body an opportunity to adjust to an upright position when it's ready. Hair gone wild. Well, that was my practice this morning. I'm going to do a little bit of breathing, but not on the video, before you guys arrive. And I hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you all in class. Bye.